bitumen kunalento emnyama ukuthi uma bekade kuhluzwa uoyela kusale yona leyo nto isiza kakhulu uma kwenziwa itiyela sisazoba nenkinga enkulu la ukuthi sisazoshodelwa itiyela la eSouth Africa seqalileke la eKZN itiyela seliyashoda njengamanje kuzokwenza ukuthi iSouth Africa kudinga ukuthi iimport ibitumen at a very high cost so kusho ukuthi ke njengoba le inkampani lezi uhulumeni ezamile kuyincenga ukuthi asingawavala ama refineries so we will have a second problem yokuthi ibitumen kuzodinga ukuthi si-import now inkinga ke ekudinga ukuthi bekhona chairperson I was hoping ukuthi njengoba kuzoba nale nkampani le athi uhulumeni uzoyivula mina bengizoyisupporta ibill only if leyo nkampani leyo izongena esikhundleni salezi inkampani lezi esezisukile lapha yana erefinery uhulumeni uma bezovula inkampani esizovala isikhala salezi inkampani zo BP lezi no Shell ekuyizona esezivale ukurefine lapha yana a refinery.
I would support the bill on condition that the government opens up a state-owned company. A state-owned company that will go as far as reopening the refineries that were closed by the BPs and the engines. They are no longer running those refineries from last year. And what is happening, we're gonna suffer the lack of the byproduct that come from refinery. It's called bitumen. It's called bitumen. That byproduct helps with the construction of roads. So in the near future, we'll have to import that bitumen at a very high cost from overseas because they are closing the refineries.
Now, Chairperson, it means that South Africa relies solely on the foreign-owned companies for import of petroleum. It means that we are still colonized petroleum-wise by these companies. So it's a colonization of a special type, or you may call it a covert type of colonization, whereby we rely on your BP, which is owned by companies which is owned by Britain, and your total owner from France, or should like South Africa. Umahamba lezi inkampani zingathi kusasa ziyahamba ngeke sesibe nawo lento upetrol no diesel, which means that uma ngabe uhulumeni ethi uzovula le nkampani ekuyiyona ezo-assist ukuthi sikwazi ukuthi siyimele, one would have to support this bill.
Sihlalo sithi soyisekela le bill lo mthethosivivinyo so usekela ngani ngoba sise South Africa sisenkingeni eningi enkulu ukuthi sisaphethwe ngamazwe aphesheya utotal upetrol wonke nje sinawo uvele emazweni aphesheya upetrol no oil utotal uqhamuka eFrance oBP bavela koNgilande uma le inkampani zivumelana ukuthi ke sime ukubanikeza uoil siyobe sisenkingeni akangene ngokusheshsha kuhulumeni avule inkampani yakhe so that ezosiza ukuthi sibe no oil wethu no petrol wethu nathi njengomzansi.
And amazwe amaningi la eSADC arely kwiSouth Africa for petrol, which means that lezi inkampani azicolonizile South Africa kuphela, zicolonize the whole of iSADC because iSADC irely kwiSouth Africa for petrol no diesel.
The challenge or the problem is so high, so much so that the entire SADC countries rely on fuel from South Africa. They get it from South Africa. So these countries have not only colonized South Africa, they've colonized the entire SADC.
Chairperson, esisinqomo umuntu abezosenza sokuthi as a portfolio committee umuntu bezocela ukuthi ake portfolio committee iqinise oversight la kuSasol. USasol une infrastructure ekuyiyona kuphela onayo in the whole world. Le infrastructure yakhiwe eFrance yakhe uSasol kuphela alikho elinyizwe elinawo. Le infrastructure ukwazi ukuthi uSasol uconvert amalahle wenze diesel ngayo ayikho enye country nayo So amalahle sinawo enough ukuthi singenza udizili ongasapply South Africa yonke singawulandi ngaphandle udizili. And udizili esingawenza iP10 okudizili o refined kakhulu o good for environment.
My submission was that the portfolio committee, let it increase its oversight over Sasol, thank you so much. Over Sasol. Because Sasol has got top-end infrastructure that was created by the French that no other company has. That infrastructure has the ability to convert coal into top-of-the-range oil called P10. P10. So we won't have to import oil when your committee brings a closer oversight over our Sasol.
Last month, Chairperson, Botswana has approached France. Ukuthi France ayizokwakha le infrastructure khona eBotswana. Le infrastructure kuyiyona eBotswana because nayo inawo amalahle. So that nayo izokwazi ukuthi iconvert amalahle ikwazi ukuzenzela udizili.
Last month,
But unfortunately, Botswana ngeke izikwazi ukuyisebenzisa iFrance ngeke ikwazi ukuthi iyakhele iBotswana because ama rights wonke ala eSouth Africa. IFrance yasayina neSouth Africa ukuthi lama rights ngeke izowasherishe ngisho nanelodwa izwe because iwasa isayine neSouth Africa.
last month alone, the country of Botswana was requesting France to come and develop the very same infrastructure that Sasol has. But the MOU, the binding agreements that Sasol has with France doesn't allow France to build the very same infrastructure in Botswana. So I'm saying let us maximize that leverage that we have as South Africa, particularly Sasol.
And another thing, Chairperson, Petro SA, akeskhuphuleni i-oversight because uPetro SA uyakwazi ukuthi ube ne-account nawo ukwazi ukuyakothenga laphayana e-refinery. Now the problem with uPetro SA in terms of ama-discounts, uPetro SA awukwazi ukubhitha lezi inkampani overseas. Like for instance, u-engine will offer you a discount of 135 cents per liter diesel. But uPetro SA will only offer you a discount of 105 cents, which means that uPetro SA is not competitive. Okusho ukuthi uPetro SA ubhithwa ilezi inkampani lezi zangaphandle. But uma ngabe na uPetro SA ungakhuphula capacity in terms of ama discounts ungakwazi ukuthi uyibhithe and mase sikhuphula ne capacity ka Sasol uSasol nawo ukwazi ukuthi ube abantu abamnyama kwale South Africa bakwazi ukuthi babe nama accounts no Sasol bakwazi ukuya koyithengela direct laphayana refinery besebenzisa wona uSasol.
Another thing that I would like to submit is that let the portfolio committee increase their oversight on Petro SA. Petro SA has the means that they give accounts directly to retailers where we can buy our own diesel. That their challenge and limitation is their discounts. Their discounts cannot match, they are not competitive, they are not market competitive. They can only discount at like R1.05 per liter of diesel, whereas engines, they can discount right up to R1.35.
105 cents Petro SA.
Okay, and engine.
135.
R1.35 for engine. So it's not competitive. And also Sasol, let this committee assist us that Sasol also give us direct access as retailers that we are able to buy directly from Sasol and so that we are competitive with foreign companies in our economy.
So as Ntate Nkosi wraps up, like I've given that request. You still remember that request, yeah? The
Yes,
minutes
yes.
versus the
ngifuna ungena kwi-licensing chairperson le khona lana. Chairperson, I would like to also make ilento in submission yokuthi i-licensing because ikhona lana kwi-bill. Ayiki lento lena i-bill lena ikikhulume ne-issue licensing because i-licensing as per lento i-Petroleum Act. I-licensing for abantu abamnyama. I-process yakhona ithi mawuya kofuna especially i-wholesale license. Awukwazi ukuthola i-wholesale license ungaxhumananga nenkampani enkulu esi-operator. Like for instance, uma ngabe mina ngifuna i-license kufuneka ngixhumane nenkampani esi-operate inkampani enkulu, which means that leyo nkampani enkulu mayingafuni ukungisayinela ukuthi ngempela leli license angiyithole, kusho ukuthi abantu abamnyama bazogcina bengenawo ama-license because i-go ahead kufuneka bayithole kubantu abavele sebekhona ku-industry.
May I also make my submission on the licensing, which is on the proposed bill? We as black people, we can't get those licenses, like a wholesale license. For me to be approved for a license, I must be endorsed or I must be authorized by an established a foreign company in our country. So we are at their mercy. If they say no, that means we're not getting any licenses. So would you please also intervene on that one?
Even the pricing i-pricing le yokukhuphuka nokwehla kwa diesel. I-portfolio committee akenzi oversight kwi-department because uma ngabe bekhuphula noma behlisa diesel every month, it leaves a lot to be desired because bathi basebenzisa i-rand dollar exchange. Now right now uma ngabe uthenga eRussia, iRussia yathi ayiwafuna amadola. Now uma ngabe iSouth Africa iyakothenga ulento udizile eRussia, iyiphi method esetshenziswa i-department because iRussia ayiwafuni amadola. Now mabesebenzisa ke i-rand dollar exchange, i-department ithi ikhuphula udizile ngerand, iyiphi method abayisebenzisayo? And again, i-method abayisebenzisayo ayihlangani because last year kuqale impi lena yase-Ukraine and mawubuka i-price ye-fuel njengamanje iyehle kakhulu but ayikakafiki moyothenga udizili. Imali okade uyiyona last year before ilento impi iqale awukakafiki i-price kadizili kuyona njengamanje usabiza kakhulu but ngalana i-rand i-price kadizili isiphansi kakhulu.
We are asking for the portfolio committee to also increase their oversight on the pricing of fuel. I understand that the pricing of fuel is regulated by the rand dollar exchange. So right now, because of the war in Ukraine, the oil price is at its lowest. And South Africa is buying from Russia, yet we don't get the benefits of the rand dollar exchange. And we also understand that Russia is not accepting the dollar for their oil. So please intervene also on that one so that we maximize our benefits as people.
Sengiphetha nesihlalo as unkosi wakadimba ngiyayisupport i-bill
In my
because
conclusion,
I believe ukuthi izosisiza kakhulukazi mase kufonwa le nkampani entsha ngoba lezi inkampani lezi zabelungu ezaphesheya engathi zibaxhaphaza kakhulu abantu bala eSouth Africa. Uma besifonyiwe le nkampani we believe ukuthi izokwazi ukuthi isilekelele kakhulu ngoba sezisiqedile lezi inkampani zabelungu.
I support the bill. I think the new petroleum state-owned company will really save us from the abuse of these foreign-owned companies.
So I guess the next speaker, we are going to use the same formula.
Ngiyathemba ukuthi isikhulumo esilandelayo uzolandela ngaloluhla
The formula of the body size and the minutes.
oluhla ukuthi uma omncane ngomzimba nemzuzu yakho ayibe mncane baba.
Okay, ngiyabonga ithuba. Ngibingelele indlu, ngibingelele nabahlonishwa
Thank you
baseParliament.
for the opportunity. I greet the House and I greet the honorable members in the front.
Just to add on some of the points beseshiwo by public, in order for ukuthi nami ngisho ukuthi angiyigcinile le exercise in order for it being meaningful, especially kumina la ngisuka khona endaweni esigodini saseMangangeni eZwelibovu.
I am from Mangangeni, Ezwelibomvu. I hope I will submit some meaningful contributions.
Oqala nje bengicela ukudlula la ngithi mina kubhlungu kona ukuthi kungaba i-exercise nje ukuthi ezokwenziwa ngokuthi kube into bafikile badlula kwaphela kanjalo.
First and foremost, I must say that it will be painful to discover that this was just a tick box kind of an exercise.
Especially from us communities who feel the excruciating experiences of climate change and horrific impacts. Eyenziwa izinto such as seismic blasting, ngishaya ngapha nangapha mhlonishwa. South SABC 1 and 2. Hayi kanjalo mhlonishwa ngikwazi ukuyihlukanisa.
Siyozwela kakhulu thina abantu esizwela kakhulu esithinteka ngqo ezintweni ezifana nokuguquguquka kwesimo sezulu.
Ezinye izinto ezikhuluma ngazo ukuthi njengoba mhlawumbe mekusuka kwenza iyona kwibill mhlawumbe siyaphasa kuzokwenziwa izinto enjengama seismic survey olwandle. Ngikhuluma nje kakhulukazi ngalezo zinto ezothinta thina sabantu kanti sithini kanye nemvelo.
If the bill is passed, we are interested on the surveys that will happen on the sea because that will touch on the nature and also touch on us as humanity.
We need imithetho ezokwazi ukuthi ivikele imphakathi le kakhulukazi ezoba affected kakhulukazi nokuthi kuyenzeka lezi zinto le mhlambe seliyatholakala uoyela loyo mase uchitheka ke noma usuyahanjiswa mawuchitheka lezo zinto lezo sicinga imithetho ezokwazi ukuthi isigadele thina izibhekelele thina silabo bantu abazo affected.
We need laws that will protect both the environment and the local communities that will suffer the consequences of spillages and all other side effects that will come from the drilling of such oil and gas.
We commend the initiative of caring enough to do this process of consultation.
Siyabonga kakhulu ukuthi niphume ngokukhathalela nizosizwa.
Though there are lots of flaws ngendlela yami engibona ngayo, the way ebiconductwe ngayo ibill nane structure sayo.
Noma ngibona amaphutha, I noticed some flaws in the structuring of the bill.
Because it does not speak to imphakathi le engiqhubeka ngikhuluma ngayo ukuthi iyona ezobhekelana nezimo mawenzeka lezi inkinga lezi.
The bill doesn't address the communities that will suffer the consequences.
Indlela ebhalwe ngayo bafihle kakhulu abantu.
The way it is written, it is the people's issues are hidden so much.
Ngabe nasi asikho la ukuba nasazwanga ngozweli.
We wouldn't be here if we also didn't hear from the grapevine.
Nolwimu olibhalwe ngayo indlela ukuthi nasi siluzwe noma sikwazi ukuthi phecelezi understand.
The drafting of the bill is not put in layman's terms so that an ordinary man or woman understands clearly.
Ngayo nokuqonda nayo ibill leyo nanokuthi izosebenza kanjani.
So that we may fully comprehend and grasp how will the bill work.
Sengibuza futhi nanokuthi ngabe kube ngcono kuba kube khona ochwepheshe kakhulukazi nalaba bethu abomdabu nabo baqhamuke nembono yabo nangendlela ukuthi thina siphila kanjani sabantu abansundu.
I wish we had specialists, researchers, including traditional healers who will advise and empower everybody how we as black people thrive.
Lo mthetho sivivinyo ubalulekile kabi ukuthi kungathiwa buwaqawaqa kanjalo la ko Westville kuphele kanjalo.
This bill is too important that you may just highlight it in places like Westville and off you go, and then the end of it.
Kufanele iParliament njengesishayamthetho esikhulu esiphezulu bahambele zonke indawo nemphakathi yabantu abamnyama abahlukumezayo mekwenzeka lezi zinto.
Our National Assembly should go to all the areas, particularly black people's areas, because they are directly affected by these things in most cases.
Singenzelwa imithetho engekho engesoze iphinde futhi izophinde futhi icindezele thina.
Laws should not be passed of which to find in the near future they'll be oppressive to us.
Kufanele ngabe ikhuluma ngezinto mawukuthi mhlawumbe sikhuluma ngabo emergency labo ukuthi mekwenzeka iphutha kukhona izinyathelo bona abazoyithatha.
People should be empowered even with emergencies, that when emergencies happen, people should be educated and on how will they respond.
Sengisho lokho ukuthi ichazele mhlawumbe benza into njengama road show basichazele ngama pros nama cons ayo le bill ukudraftwa kwayo nje kuqala.
We will need things like road shows that will also detail through pros and cons of how what could be the dangers of this bill.
It should also speak of adequate resilient infrastructures.
Ayikhulume futhi veze ukuthi kunengqalazisinda eqinile ezokwazi ukuyimela.
Okay. It should also speak of indlela mokuthi kwenzekile siphinde futhi nathi sibhekelelwa kanjani labo bantu baxhephezelwa kanjani abantu aba-affected.
Also the beneficiation and the compensation of affected communities should also be clear.
Ifuna ukwazi ukuthi mhlambe why kube khona isidingo sokuthi kuze kudraftwe le bill le kuba kade kukhona le act ya petroleum.
We need to know the real rationale why, what was the essence and the importance of this bill when there is an existing act.
And what is the bill about and what is it for kahle kahle in layman's terms emphakathini yethu sabantu abangakwazi abangaqondanga indaba ye bill.
And the fact that in layman's term, what is the importance of this bill, for especially for those who do not understand.
Kwenzekeni ngale enye amanye bekenziwa nanemthetho ebikade ikhona before le.
What happened with the previous laws before this one is considered? That kind of background is necessary.
And ekugcineni mekuthi yaphasa, who is it for kahle hle ngendlela ukuthi izobenefit abani?
At the end, when this bill is passed, who are the beneficiaries? Who will benefit the most out of it?
Ngoba mase sizwa kahle kusakhulunywa ngeinkampani sekungcono sekukhona abantu abaqhamukile ngaphambi kwami bakhuluma ngokuthi bafuna ukuthi at least mhlawumbe kube abantu abakwazi ukuthi ngoba khuluma ngokuthi state isokwazi usiphathe noma kube uthi private mawuthi private ngoba sizwile ngokwe state ichazo most private abantu bona abamnyama mhlambe bona labo bazokwazi ukuthi bayithathe yini leyo nto leyo ngokomthetho ikwazi ukuthi basize futhi abanye abantu emphakathini.
If the private sector will be leading in the mining, how far will black people benefit from such?
Ngoba as bade kushiwo ukuthi the state cannot play referee and player at the same time.
Bashila abanye ukuthi uhulumeni awukwazi ukuthi ube unompempe uphinde ube umdlali futhi ngesikhathi esisodwa.
Because the bill seems to be fast tracking izinto as unaccounted for ezindala, especially when it comes to ama extractions nama technicalities.
Ibill ikhuluma umthethosivivinyo ikhuluma ngento ezindala ezinye ikhuluma ngokumbiwa nokunye ubuchwepheshe okungacaci kahle
based on environmental and social impacts and assessment.
Ukuthi uhlukumezeka kanjani umphakathi kanye nemvelo uma usebenza.
Foreign companies want to invest vele.
Inkampani zangaphandle siyazi ifuna ukutshala imali.
Kodwa that also comes as a part of njoba dekushiwo ukuthi bazoyidlwengula izwe lethu.
We are also aware, as it has been said, they are coming to rape our country.
Mesobukela amazwe njengo Nigeria sibukele nako South America.
Countries like Nigeria, South America.
Sibone ukuthi kwenzekeni in terms of ama environmental and social impacts. Show it ukuthi ukhanda ukuthenga nje ubuso emphakathini mekuthiwa kuzoba economic development.
Siyabona imvelo yahlukumezeka nabantu bangahlomula, so economic development talk is simply a coy.
ngoba from white collar crime to itagari and presidential cartels.
Ngoba ubugebengu beyifundiswa nonxiwa abathile ababusayo nomengameli.
It is not clear vele ukuthi who will benefit from the extraction and processing and production mayipasa le bill.
Akucaci ukuthi obani abazozuza kakhulu when this bill is passed into law.
Okucacile is that we would be bearing the externalities.
Okusobala ukuthi sobe nje thina sincwaba kuphela osekusele ngaphandle.
Lastly,
The worst is the technicalities that we have a problem with the bill and its drafting. Kunjenge environmental apartheid with a capitalistic classism. Ngiyabonga.
Sibona ngathi imvelo izohlukumezeka kube onxiwa okuyibona abazohlomula. Thank you.
Good afternoon to the Portfolio Committee and to the community present today.
Sibingelele portfolio committee nomphakathi okhona namhlanje.
I ask for your patience as I make my submission.
Ngicela nje ningibekezelele uma ngilithula izethulo zami.
My name is Yageshni Mudli and I represent Groundwork. I live in Ward 51.
Ngingu Naidu ngivela ku Ward 51.
Would like to say that the creation of the new right to combine exploration and production submerges administrative justice.
Ngibona ukuthi lolu chungechunge silithathayo okuhlanganisa ukumba phansi ukugubha oyela kanye nokumayina ngibona ngazo ngibona ngazuthi kuyahlukumeza ubulungiswa ekuphatheni.
It reduces public involvement and reduces accountability and transparency.
Kuyanciphisa ukungena komphakathi futhi kunciphise nokuthi uhulumeni uma esebenza kukhanye bha ukuthi wenzani.
Public participation is not meaningfully provided for throughout this bill.
Ukungenelela kwabantu noma komphakathi ngibona kungacacile kulomthetho sivivinyo.
How will society's voices be heard?
Izwi lemphakathi lozwakala kanjani na?
There isn't even a definition of an interested and affected party.
Azikho even nencazo ukuthi umuntu ofisayo kungena nomuntu othintekayo uchazwa kanjani.
We need land users and those who are proposing land claims to also be consulted.
Sidinga ukuthi abantu abasebenzisa lowo mhlaba nabantu abasafaka izicelo zalowo mhlaba ukuthi nabo mabathintwe phela.
We want free and prior informed consent to be a principle in this bill.
Sifuna nje ukuthi abantu bathintwe ngokukhululekile bathintwe futhi kuseyisikhathi ngaphambi ukuthi lo mthetho sivivinyo uphasiswe.
To support land users and indigenous communities who have land claims.
Abasakelwe abantu abasebenzisa lemhlaba lengxenye yezwe nabantu abasafaka izicelo ukuthi hayibo lo mhlaba mawubuye kithi.
And to give them the right to remove permissions from minors who do not meet their conditions.
Nokuthi ke osozimboni abangahambisani nemigomo ebekwe abantu abasebenzisa umhlaba mabasuswe kulezo indawo.
And I apologize for this strong language, but 10% is a slap in the face of local communities.
Ngiyaxolisa uqinisa amagama ami kodwa u10% enimnikeza wona abantu abansundu kufana ukuthi nibahlabe ngempama.
And local content plans make them beggars in their own backyard.
Lokhu kubenza ukuthi babe zincibi neziceli ezweni labo.
It undermines the economic participation and upliftment.
Lokhu kwenza ukuthi ukungena kwabo kumnotho nokuthuthukiswa kwabo kumnotho kube inhlekisa.
Communities with rights to this land require consultation, inclusion, and ownership with a legitimate percentage reflecting their contribution.
izakhamuzi ezakhele lendawo efuna ukumayinwa mabanikezwe ithuba lokuthi mabebe ingxenye abazozuza kuyo kulemboni nabo.
I am bold enough to suggest 50% for communities.
Nginesibindi kakhulu ukuthi ngithi mina imphakathi ayithola uhafu wamaphesenti alemboni.
For the sacrifice of their physical environment, their spiritual and cultural heritage, and their homes.
Ngoba banikele ngendawo yabo, banikela nangeindawo zabo zakwamoya abayisebenzisa la ogwini kanye nemizi yabo banikela ngabo ukuthi bese engozini.
Further, I'd like to deal with the environmental aspects of this bill.
Bese futhi ngithinta indaba ethinta isimo sezemvelo kulomthetho sivivinywa.
The Petroleum Agency regulating environmental authorizations violates the one environmental system.
I-Petroleum Agency le ekhona njengamanje iyahlukumeza ezemvelo ezikhona ezweni.
This is subverting the provisions of NEMA.
Uyacindezela okugunyazwe uNEMA.
There's no mention of the Department of Forestries, Fisheries and Environment.
Asizwa lutho lakhulunywa ngomnyango wezamahlathi nawemboni yokudoba kanye nezemvelo asizwa kukhulunywa lutho ngalabo.
Except for closure.
Ngaphandle nje ukuthi hayi sesiyaqhiba sesiyaqeda sesiyagoqa.
Frontiers should be removed completely from the bill.
Abantu Okay, ama franchise noma abazogijimela phambili kule mthetho sivivinywa fanele asuswe khona.
This is promoting the wholesale destruction of the natural environment.
Lokhu kwenza ukuthi imvelo idayiswe ngamazinga aphezulu.
And pushing for exploration across all areas like the Karoo.
Bese kwenza ukuthi zonke indawo kube nje eziyambiwa kufuna ingcebo ephansi njengale eKaroo.
The bill is also not clear about how government would facilitate rehabilitation.
Nomthetho sivivinyo awucacisi ukuthi uhulumeni uzoqekelela kanjani ukuthi uma sekumbiwe uzobuyiselwa kanjani umhlabathi noma umhlaba esimeni.
And upholding the environmental integrity of mined areas.
Ukuthi indawo ezinezimboni zivikeleka kanjani ukuthi kube zindawo abantu abakwazi ukuhlala kuzo.
Where is financial provision made and secured?
Iqhamukapi le mali ezobisiza la ivelaphi?
The references to NEMA are not clear.
Siyabona ukuthi le mthetho egunyazwe uNEMA ayicaci kule mthetho sivivinyo.
And I would like to recommend a closure certificate for all exploration.
Ngiyafisa ukuthi sibe khona isitifiketi seclosure ukuthi sesiqedile ukusebenza kuko konke la iziboni lezi ezobe isebenza khona.
Expropriation of land must be removed completely.
Ukugujwa nje komhlaba noma kanjani kufanele kususwe kuphele nya.
This is subject to abuse and undermines communities' rights.
Ngani ngoba lokho kwenza ukuthi abantu bahlukumezeke futhi namalungelo abo anyathelwe ngeenyawo.
The committee must recognize that South African history shows an abuse of this power.
Ikomiti alivume ukuthi iSouth Africa ihlukumezekile kakhulu lamandla kahulumeni phezulu kwabantu.
Communities should not live in fear.
Imphakathi mayingahlali saba.
And land is a controversial issue in South Africa.
Umhlaba ke uyinto ebangwayo kakhulu eSouth Africa uyinkinga enkulu.
Lastly, I wish to highlight, as other community members have, we were here exactly 1 week ago talking about the climate change bill.
Ngicela ukusho ukuthi njengoba debesha abanye ngeviki ledlule besila sikhuluma ngomthetho sivivinywa olawula ukuguquka kwesimo sezulu.
We highlighted the climate emergency.
Sasho sathi isimo sezulu sesisibi sesixakile.
Especially on the east coast of South Africa.
Sathi thina ke sihlala la ogwini emzansi naAfrika sibhekene ngqo nalenkinga.
We are experiencing conditions that fluctuate between flooding and heat waves regularly.
Sibona ukuthi kuyashisa kakhulu kuphinde kuqhamuka ikhukhula ngokusheshsha nje nangendlela exakile.
and gas should not be part of our just energy transition.
Lokho ke angabi ingcenye ukuthi sizama ukushintsha kwezamandla.
Thank you.
Ngiyabonga.
Ngibingelele.
Greetings.
Igama lami nguTozi Mthiyane eMgababa ku Ward 98.
My name is Tozi Mtiane from Ward 98 Mkababa.
Ngiqhamuka kubadobi kahle kahle ngumdobi mina ngaphansi komnini cooperation under small scales.
I do fishing for a living and I'm from a co-op in the area.
Umgababa umnini co-op.
Umnini Co-op is the name of our organization.
Small scale ngaphansi kwa small scale.
It's a small scale fishing entity.
Ngiza la nokudumala ngiyayizwa ibill.
I come here disappointed, I hear the bill.
Ngoba asizange thina abadobi saziswe kahle ngendaba ye oil and gas ngoba ngiyabona singayo la.
We as fishermen were not empowered with the oil and gas because it's all about that.
Sibhlungu ngoba nathi la siphila khona la sikhulisa khona abantwana bethu ekudobeni
We
ulwandle iyona
are
feni
very
yethu.
sad that we live and thrive on fishing. It's a sustenance fishing that we do.
Ngoba iqale lento 2012 ukuzwa nge-oil and gas lezo mbiwa ngama-alliance ngingawubala usethi ngibala umasifundise Green Connection ibona abantu abaxhumana nathi kakhulu
From 2012, we heard about this oil and gas, and there are some organizations that have been touching base with us.
nakho namhlanje silana sesiyambona ugovernment uyaphumela ubala uyasitshela kodwa iqiniso asilitholi.
And today we're here, we can see the intent of the government, but we don't have the whole truth.
Kubhlungu
It's painful.
ngiyacela ukuthi nize emphakathini silwakhela ulwandle
I
eMgababa singabadobi.
I request that you come to us, the community. We reside by the coast in Mkababa, and we do sustenance fishing.
Mhlasimbe ngizothuka manje angiyimukeli ibill ngokunjalo nabadobi abanye abayimukeli.
For now, I'm saying I reject the bill, and so would be other fishermen. We reject this bill as a collective.
Ngoba ngithi ngama 93 kube ne company lapho saphi sakhe siwakhela une pipe olufakile lapha la yongena ulwandle.
Around
phakathi.
1993, there is a big company called Sapi around our area. There is a big pipe that goes to the sea. In 1993, they created that.
Besaziwa lapha thina ngosayidini ukuthi usayidini la uphuma khona uyichithekele ngikhule siwubutha ngama-basket ngaphandle namhlanje awukho ubalekile.
We were known for the overflow of sardines in that area, but now it's no longer there.
Ngikhuluma nje ngiphethe i-permit ye-lobster njengoba ku-March ngoba sidoba ngama-seasonal ngiyiphethe kodwa engenzeli lutho
As I'm
ngoba
talking
asinayo.
now, I got a permit to fish lobster. We are seasonal fishermen, but that permit is not helping me because the lobster is not there.
Okunye futhi kuthe makushaya iy'khukhula zishayele kakhulu eMgababa.
And-
Since iy'khukhula sinafish olwandle uyaya uzibuyele nje.
And the floods hit Mkababa the hardest. Since the floods last year, we've been going to the sea to fish. We find nothing. There is no fish any longer.
Okunye kubuhlungu August 9 kwakusekuseni ngo-4 sathola indaba uchitheka udoti esiphingo amakhampani laphayana kunofish abaningi abafa amathani lapho kodwa thina siyakalela njengomdobi udoba 4 ngelanga wamashed manje laba abafileka ngithi babulawa yikhona ukuthi kuyonakala lapha mangena udoti olwandle kuzokwenzakalani mase ngibiwe oil and
August
gas.
9, some companies in Siping were told by 4 a.m. they were releasing their waste into the sea. Lots of fish died there. We are limited to 4 fish per day as fishermen, yet companies that are releasing their waste into the sea don't have such measurements, and so much fish has been destroyed.
Ngiyacela wozani kuthina sixoxisaneni nazi siyazi ukuthi vele umdobi ngaso sonke isikhathi into ebukeleka phansi.
Please come to us as fishermen, engage us. I know we are undermined in many cases,
Ngiyabonga.
but let's engage. Thank you so much. Greetings. I appreciate that the chair of this committee is a unionist. We know him as workers. Whenever we need that money, he used to be at the forefront and we will get the money. I'm not sure whether today he will still listen to us like he used to before. Chair, you are lucky that we came here as organized committees and co-ops. Because we are organized, normally we wouldn't come here and engage, but we'll be protesting and demonstrating outside and the police chasing us. Today we respected you and so that you come and listen to us. The duty of parliament is to go to the people.
So konke lesikhuluma ngako manje abafethu sebekushilo ikona lokho eningakwenzi enikwenza ngoba sesiyakuma election.
So all that our people have been saying is the very thing that you don't do. You only do it when we are approaching elections.
Sihlalo mina le bill why ngize la because ngithi asisho ukuthi bill asifuni because ibill umthetho.
The reason I came here is not to say we reject the bill. We understand that the bill is going to be a law. Chairperson, we've engaged in a number of bills, but all those bills don't talk to us. For an example, you said in your introduction that in the previous apartheid government, we were not considered. I originate from Minanda Dam way back around 1986. We were forcefully removed from Nanda Dam. We were put into some other places not good for human habitation. But all that we do now is to go back to that Nanda Dam just to bury people who are not protected.
Environment because
as organization in the Durban South Basin, we've come together, we've engaged because we are to protect our environment. We therefore implore you as a consulting chairperson that please don't hurry up to pass this bill because we are still deliberating as communities. Kindly take your honorable team to the affected places on the coast and hear them out clearly because we are not here to take decisions.
Bese ukuthi ke mphathihlalo thina njengabantu abamele lemphakathi kube khona incwadi ezisayinayo ukuthi mawuyenza lento yabantu ngoba la into ebaluleke kakhulu imali ibalulekile leyokuphila kwabantu.
As people representing these communities, we must sign some binding agreements so that we know what's in for the people because we know there's money, there's capital involved here.
Bengikushiswa yini imphathihlalo njengoba umuntu wasuka ngo1986 edamini kwamanje ngisafuna indawo okuhlala akayithola.
I'm saying that because as some
86
I'm saying that as someone who was removed from Nanda Dam way back in 1986 forcefully, even today I'm still wandering around looking for some place to stay.
Bese ke sihlalo senza into enhleke leqalo president izolo yokuthi ke sishaw door to doors. Eduze kwalaba bantu singawushaw door to doors basofuna ama voting amaqembu.
Let's also do something that was kick-started by the president yesterday of doing door to door. Mine is saying let's not do door to door to canvass only votes. Let's do door to empower people.
Ngiyazi ke mphathihlalo nowasasitshele wena ngangilazi iqhinga olenzayo nokuthi wena mase kukhuluma wena izinto ziyenzeka.
I know and I have confidence beyond any shadow of doubt that when we tell you, we know all your tricks. Whenever we used to tell you, we know how we used to maneuver.
Siyayicela ke mphathi sihlale feedback because asizile la kuzoba ama rubber stamp ukuthi ke sifike sikhulume bese kuyenziwa.
We would request feedback from you because we are not here to rubber stamp things. We are here speaking out. We don't need to see programs continuing as usual after we've registered our concerns.
Athi ke mphathi sinaye kuhlalo weDurban Space environment okhona njengana ukuthi yonke into itransfer ke.
We also have a chairperson in the Durban South Basin who's responsible for environmental. He's right here. Just like you're the chairperson there, we also have a chairperson here.
Phinde ke sihlalo siyojaha amaphoyisa lapha ngokwe communication esilekhekile.
We are not expecting that police will be chasing us on the streets after we've registered our concerns and communication to you here.
Ya ngophala sokagwala oqhama ngaphansi kwentuzuma environment ngithi hayi ngoba singahambisani ngebill akuyihlehla nje sihlengahlengise lezi zinto.
I am Mr. Kwala representing the Intuzuma Environmental Co-op. We are not saying we reject the bill for the sake of rejecting. We're saying let's engage further and then it can be passed later on, but not now.
Kufesela ke umsebenzi omuhle sihlalo nethimba lakho.
We wish you, Chair, together with your committee, very good and productive.
Seshiya ipolitiki sihlalo kwesibheka ubuhlali babantu ngoba silahle.
Politics aside, let's look at the stability of our people.
Thank you very much.
Siyabonga.
Thank you very much. Greetings to the chairperson
Sibonge kakhulu siyabingelela kusihlalo.
and also greetings to the collective committee and the community as a whole.
Bingelele nekomiti elihloniphekile kanye nomphakathi wonke okhona phakathi kwethu.
My name is Buntu from eThekwini,
Ngingubuntu.
Mayville, Ward 29.
Ngisuka khona la
EFF.
eThekwini ku Ward 29 ngiyilunga le-EFF.
Firstly, before I make my points, I want to give a history of this country, especially about gatherings like this.
About?
History of this country.
Ngicela nje ngaphambi ukuthi ngisho imbono yami ngicela ukuthi qapho ngomlando walelizwe.
No,
With all respect, listen,
Asimamele.
listen, listen, come. You are going to, you say before you speak, you are going to give history. As long as it does not overstep the time that you are considering.
Njoba uthi uzothi unikeza umlando nje uma ungaseqanga isikhathi asinankinga.
no, thank you, Slalo. I don't care about this group of howlers. Actually, I will make my point very clear.
Hayi umbono
Actually,
wami nje uzocaca.
Slalo, we are coming from Kotesa negotiations.
Siphuma
Kotesa
ku-Kotesa.
negotiations, actually, they called people in corners to do a consultation like this. As a result, of this country, we are here because of those decisions that were taken. Today, we do not have economic freedom in our lifetime. We don't have jobs. The wealth of this country, or the strategic sectors of the economy, is still in the hands of minority. So now, this arrangement and the consultation in public, we understand that the government may want to rubber stamp the laws, creating an impression to say they are involving the community to be part of creating what the laws.
Inkinga-
But what we want to make it very clear, Slalo, no, you must write down leadership, because of my time, you will interpret later.
Chief, we are in charge of this meeting. You are not instructing that gentleman.
But that
Please
was the
just-
first ruling. It happened
Yeah,
to
I'm
the
just
other
saying,
speaker.
proceed with your thing, Chief.
Yeah, no. Thank you. So, as I said, Slalo, we don't want a government to come here and make these gatherings like this just to rubber stamp and creating an impression to say they are making the community to be the part of what? Of the rules making. So now, Slalo, you are saying here the participation of black people. Actually, the question that will come, how does the black people participate? And who are the black people? Because we understand that the black people are regarded by those whom were previously disadvantaged, speaking about African, Indians, and colors. But what we see in an industrial that you are saying that are for black people who are benefiting there, the majority are the Indians, and the African are not benefiting. So that is the fact. That is the fact. Indians are the one whom are owning the economy. Go to Japan, the economy is owned by Indians. And then if you don't want that truth, we will tell you as it is. We will not massage things and sugarcoat things. So, now, and also here, Slalo, it is written that the government, the state will manage. Actually, we must capacitate the state. The state must not manage. The state must own. Why the state will manage? We must capacitate the state, and the state must do what? Must own. And also, we want this prospecting right by the state, processing the minerals directly by the state, so that we can be able to even generate a profit. So now, Slalo, now, as I asked the definition of a black people, you must also, because it's also written here, the definition, if you read the definitions. So it's in a question of what? Of an interpretation. But if you speak about black people, as I alluded, as I explained, you must remove that point A2 and the point B2. So also, Slalo, I'm very surprised about people, because when we speak here, they are saying we must not include politics. Actually, you are all sitting here in front of us. You are all politicians. And the politicians are the one who are determining the direction of this country, are the one who are taking the decision that affects us in every day. But you are saying you don't want to involve politics, while are the politicians who are making laws, while are the politicians who are taking decision on behalf of us. So I've heard others, they were howling when a speaker was saying we have a sitting president who killed people but is still presiding over our country. And also, we have a sitting president in this country, the majority of black people, especially young people, including your children, are not employed. Your children are not employed. You are suffering. You are here because you are not employed, but you are busy howling us. So, Stalo, we want me to make it very clear that this government...
Just order. You see what you are creating, Wena? You are creating a situation where you are talking to people. You must talk to us, not to the people there. You must talk to us.
Ungakhulumi nomphakathi, khuluma nathi.
Order as he completes, order.
Umusukoqa.
Yes, Stalo. Actually, I'm not apologetic about my submission because they are the truth. Stalo, the majority of the young people are not employed. The unemployment rate is increasing. And actually, we are facing the load shedding in every day. We can't even start in schools. The businesses are collapsing. Everything is collapsing. We are also lobbying all the South Africans to join the EFF in the National March to remove this corrupt ANC government. We are very clear.
Order. Can we just cut off? No, order. Can we just have some order?
Asithaleni phansi bakithi.
Yeah, let's. Thank you, thank you.
Siyabonga singahlala phansi. Singahlala phansi.
Yeah, lady, lady,
Hayi asibambe.
let's just calm down for now.
Hayi ke sibambe
Let's
okwamanje.
calm down.
Azama ukuyibamba.
Yeah. Yeah, the other disadvantage that we have
Enye inkinga esinayo.
is as we start, we have some ground rules on how we are going to deal with the submissions and how we are going to respond if we want to respond and so on.
Ukuthi uma siqala sishilo ukuthi sizosebenza kanjani uqhubeka nalomhlangano.
We expressly said that we are here to listen to yourselves,
Sikubeke kwacaca ukuthi sizela ukuzonilalela
to make your submission on what the bill must say and must not say,
ukuthi nisho nicace ukuthi nifuna lomthetho sivivinyo uthi futhi ungakusho lokhu.
Your submission is your submission.
Isethulo sakho esakho ngqo.
We are not at the point where we are countering submissions amongst yourselves.
Awuke ethubeni la kufanele khona uphikise izethulo zabanye abantu.
So it was just unfortunate that we went a little bit out of hand in as far as trying to have a dialogue there. The dialogue must be from you to this side.
Sebegcina sekunokuphikiswana manje la kanti azizile kuzophikisana la umuntu okhulumayo akakhulume ne-portfolio committee nabahleli ngaphambili.
But there's not much harm that has been caused, except that it is part and parcel of democracy to do these things.
Akuningi kokumoshakele nokulimele kodwa phela vele ingxenye yentando yeningi ukuthi hayi imbono yenqubuzana.
A requirement of patience and tolerance is also something that we must imbue on ourselves.
Nokubekezelelana kuyadingakala.
So there are members who would still want to make submissions as organizations, as people here. We have a table.
Sekhona basafuna ukukhuluma whether noma ukhuluma wedwa noma ukhuluma njengenhlangano
That is going to receive some of the co-ops or organizational submissions. They are there because we do that from all the places that we are. If as an organization you still have got a submission, written submission, that table is there.
Sinetafula elila elilindele ukwamukela zonke izethulo zenu ezibhaliwe.
In as far as raising of hands and taking more submissions, I'm closing it.
Ukuphakamisa kwezandla nokuthatha izethulo sesiyakuvala lokho manje.
Now, the chairperson is going to take over and dictate and say what is going to happen henceforth as we go to the other areas. Chairperson, take over.
Sengizonikeza usihlalo bese yasihola ukuthi siya kanjani phambili.
Thank you very much, Honorable Volmarans.
Sibonge kakhulu kumhlonishwa uVolmarans.
Just few things so that when we are here today, others might come.
Okumbalo nje okuncane ukuthi masila namhlanje abanye bazofika.
Firstly, let's appreciate the turnout.
Asincome ukuthi niphume ngomningi.
Mostly you were not out of tune,
Iningi lenu belingabhimbi uma
but
likhuluma.
obviously from here and there will always be some issues.
Kodwa ke lapha nalapha khona izinto ezinokuvela.
Maybe let me first clarify this thing. At school, when you go to that house, you will say, please sir, may I go out, or please ma'am, may I go out.
Angichazi ukuthi esikoleni sasithi masifuna ukuya kuleya ndawo uthi thisha ngicela ukuya ngaphandle.
So the fact that you don't see the chairperson, it doesn't mean it's not part of the meeting.
Ukuthi animbona usihlala akusho ukuthi usewudubile umhlangano.
And it doesn't mean the person who's standing in for the chairperson is not the chairperson at that moment.
Akusho futhi ukuthi umuntu obambela usihlalo ngaleso sikhathi akasisi
Now,
usihlalo
very quickly so that we help people.
Asicaciseke la
Because sometimes you say something and you think you are right.
kwesinye isikhathi usho into bese ucabanga ukuthi uthethe
There was a
isinye.
gentleman there who raised an issue about the problems they have with Transnet.
Khona umhlonishwa la obekhuluma inkinga ababhekene nazo
And and sometimes some things are interesting.
ezinye izinto impela
There was,
zinamava.
if I'm not mistaken, a Mr. Butelis
Kwaba khona
from
nonqengelele
Danhausen.
ovele Danhausen.
No. But he's from Danhausen.
Khona obevele Danhausen la.
The interesting thing is that I'm meeting with him behind the curtain.
Okuhlekisayo ke ukuthi ngihlangana naye ngale kwekhethini.
One of his delegation says the chairperson is not in the meeting.
Omunye ke ahamba nabo.
Now, you are helping someone. Somebody does not ask, where is my colleague? You see somebody walking up the stairs, coming this side, but you then don't see that that person is meeting the chairperson.
Uyasiza awubuzi kodwa uvela ujumele ujahela inqumo.
Because I know the distance from here to Newcastle and Danhausen.
Ingoba ngiyayazi indlela ukusuka la uye Danhausen noma uye Newcastle.
Now, to say to them they must wait for me to finish the meeting before I could hear what is their concern, it would have been unfair to them.
Manje ukuthi ngithi abangilinde ngize ngiqede umhlangano ngaphambi ukuthi ngizwe izimvo zabo bekuzoba kubabeka engozini.
So sometimes we must keep our suspicions on, that's not an issue. I had to meet them. They said it here, they paid 9,000 for the taxi to come here.
Bashilo ukuthi bakhokhe 9,000 rand ukuze beze la bazokhuluma nathi namhlanje. Fanele sibabone.
So you, as a leader, if somebody raises, you need to be sensitive on what that person is concerned about.
Uma kumholi umuntu ephakamisa into ethile kufanele usukume uyinake uyimamele.
But also let me just correct this thing, man. The Department of Mineral Resources and Energy is led by the minister who is appointed by the president.
Angicacise futhi la nokuthi umnyango wezokumbiwa kanye namandla uholwa ungqongqoshe noma umphathiswa okhethwe umengameli.
We are a committee. It means a committee will work with a number of people, not an individual.
Kusho thina njoba siyikomiti sisebenza nabantu abaningi hayi nomuntu oyedwa vo.
Probably we are the only committee, and call it politics or no politics, we are the only committee that does not mention the name of a party. That each man, when we introduce ourselves as a committee, but these are different parties.
Siyikomiti mhlambe yithi kuphela esihlukile ukuthi uma sizethula emphakathini asiwasha amaqembu esivela kuwo njoba nisibona la sivela kumaqembu ezepolitiki ahlukene.
So I can't allow members who are not in government, they are not in government, to then get accused together with government.
Angifuni ukuthi ngeke ngikuvumele ukuthi amalungu eParliament ala angekho kuhulumeni ukuthi athwese nawo icala njengohulumeni osemandleni.
I'll give you one example.
Sibonelo nje sokuqala.
Umfundisi lo is from the ATM ubaba Zungula.
Umfundisi uZungula is from the ATM.
Then if we manipulate systems, it means he's part of it.
Uma sizokwenza into ngendlela engamukelekile kusho ukuthi thi naye uyingxenye yalokho esikhala ngakho.
But if the department together with the ministry is manipulating system, he's not part of it.
Kodwa uma umnyango kanye nongqongqoshe benza into engamukelekile kusho ukuthi nayo uyingxenye akasiyona ingxenye.
So to then stand up and say the tape, the recordings will be tampered. It's on YouTube live. How do you manipulate that?
Manje usho kanjani
To say which must be shown, which must not be
ukuthi
shown.
inkulumo zethu ziyanqanyulwa asivezwe kanjani ngoba iku-YouTube
You can go
njengamanje.
and follow it now, you will find it. Even tomorrow, it's from the point of singing, Nkosi Sikelel' Africa, until the end. No person you can cut off.
Kusukela nje ukuqalwa sicula ingoma yesizwe kuze ayikho into ekhishwayo ayikho into editwayo khona konke nawu khona phakathi.
So I'm just saying the last thing I must raise is this one.
Okugcina engifuna ukusho yilokhu.
Don't make, when a committee of parliament comes to you,
Uma ikomiti leParliament lize kini
don't create probably a risk that tomorrow that committee must tell others, don't go there because we've been there before.
Ningenzi into bazizwe bengaphephile noma isimo esibucayi ukuze
Because-
kutshelwa abanye ukuthi mabangayi laphaya.
Because the fact that the Portfolio Committee on Environment, Fisheries and Forestry was here, it does not mean we should then regret for coming here also.
Ukuthi bekunekomiti la lezamahlathi nemboni yokudoba nezemvelo ukuthi belila akusho ukuthi nathi kasingabe seza la.
In fact, I can say this, it helps you because, let me make an example. If you were told about what is the law on climate, the climate bill, it helps you now when this one, it would have been better if we came before. It would have been better, worse if we had came before. At least now, when you had an understanding of the climate environment, it means the first thing you look at in this bill is whether, with what you were told last time, it is consistent with that climate bill that you were presented with here.
Ngamanye amazwi ukuthi bekufike elinye ikomiti likhuluma ngokushintsha kwesimo sezulu kusho ukuthi uthole usunolwazi olungcono manje ukuthi uma kufika le komiti usuyabheka ukuthi ngabe isimo sezulu asikuzokuphazamiseka yini kodwa kuba besifike eqala bengeke usizakale kakhulu.
So like others now, I'm sure the member, they were saying, in this bill, very little is saying anything in terms of the environment. I'm not saying I agree with them, but that's the point they were making. And in that process, it is based also on an understanding. It means there is no consistency. That's what they were saying. There is no consistency or coherency on the manner in which Parliament or government is dealing with the formulation of legislation.
Bazwile abanye besho bathi lo mthetho sivivinyo awusho lutho ngesimo sezulu kusho ukuthi awuvumelani kuyakhombisa la ukuthi basebeyasho ukuthi hayi ukuthi kusho mina sebeyasho ukuthi imithetho uhulumeni afuna ukuyishaya ayibambisene ayihambi ngoshuno wodwa.
The last thing here, please don't beat the one who is in front of you and leave the one who is not doing what you wanted. I'm saying this thing because people are not bold enough to stand up and say, government or departments, before they can take the legislation. I've been trying to cater many of you that when you go there, be catable and say, departments, as they formulate legislation, they must start to the people, do the same thing that we are doing. Now we seem to be victims of going and listening to public because the department, so if you are not saying it openly that you can't formulate a legislation, take it to Parliament when you have not consulted with the people.
Kudala ngisho manje anitsheleki ngisho ukuthi manisukuma la yishona ukuthi umnyango kahulumeni awuqalekini iqale ngaphambi ukuthi uthathe umthetho sivivinyo uwuse Parliament bese kuza thina portfolio committee la fanele nisho lokho kuze umnyango uzoqala kini iqale before kufike thina.
So please, next time, any committee that comes, tell them, number one, in your recommendations, is that the department, before it takes this legislation to Parliament, to the Speaker, it must first have consulted through public hearings in the same way that you do.
Batsheleni ke maniphinda nithola enye umhlangano ofana nalo ukuthi umnyango ngaphambi ukuthi uhambise umthetho sivivinyo kusomlomo eParliament ozobe usudlulela kithi awuphuma umnyango ize kini uzokhuluma nani kanje uzwe izimvo zenu ngaphambi ukuthi kufike thina.
Now, Mr. Tisa,
Baba Tisa,
there is only one thing that all of us here, especially the older ones, are guilty of,
khona into eyodwa ke kakhulukazi thina sibadala esinephutha kuyo
was to build a top-heavy government system.
Kwakha uhulumeni amandla amaningi olapha phezulu.
I want one day to look at this thing.
Ngifisa ngelinye ilanga ke sicubungule lokho sonke.
If you were to look how many people are employed by one department and how much is the budget of one department,
Uma ungabona ukuthi umnyango wodwa uqasha abantu abaningi kangakanani ibudget sabelo zimali nesezemholo ingakanani eyalapho.
you'll get a shock of your life that the smallest budget is that one that is allocated to parliament.
Uzobona isimanga ukuthi isabelo zimali esincane kunazo zonke yilesi siya lapha eParliament.
But you have to do effective oversight.
Kodwa ke wena olapha eParliament kufanele ube uwe obheke ngesolokhozi ukuthi basebenza kanjani.
The rules of parliament allows you as a committee to only go for public hearings or oversight if parliament has approved you going out.
Sivumeleke ukuthi siphume siye emphakathini kuphela qha uma iParliament lisivumele ukuthi asiye ebantwini.
But a minister can go anywhere at any given time, taking a decision to go there with an unlimited delegation.
Kodwa ke ungqongqoshe yena angaya noma ikuphi inoma inini nesibalo sabantu esingakaliwe.
So sometimes we may be complaining, but there's a system issue.
Kwesinye isikhathi ngenza ukuthi siyakhonona kodwa kunenqubo yokusebenza eyinkinga la.
So Babu Kwalu, correct, in my previous life, I was used to those things that if I want a meeting, I just wake up, set up a meeting, I go and meet people. If it's a general meeting, it's a general meeting. Unfortunately, I'm in a new system now that confines me, that I can't even make a decision on my own. I need to consult first, so that there must be a committee meeting. It is only when that committee has met I can say something with upright and confidence. So unfortunately, I'm sorry to disappoint you. I can't take decisions on behalf of the committee.
Ngiyaxolisa ukuphoqa babugwala uqinisile impela kudala ngangumabizwa sabele ngalezo ikhathi ngalokho engangikusebenza. Manje sengingxenye yekomiti angikwazi ukuthatha isinqumo ngingedwa ngaphambi ukuthi sithathe isinqumo kufanele sivumela nje ikomiti inqumo zami ngedwa angisakwazi ukuyishaya.
Let me also give you this advice.
Anginikeze nasesinye iseluleko.
Because committees of parliament have a starting time and an ending time.
Amakomiti eParliament aqala ngesikhathi esithile futhi aphinde aqede ngesikhathi esithize.
Now, if only, I'm making an example,
Ngenza isibonelo.
if one person speaks for 15 minutes,
Uma umuntu oyedwa ekhuluma imizuzu
One.
eyishumi nanhlanu eyedwa vo.
you must know if you've got 10 people and you have got 5 minutes,
Ubokwazi
that 10 people is 50 minutes.
ubokwazi ukuthi labo bantu masinabantu abayishumi abazokhuluma u50 minutes u5 minutes uma beyishumi usho 50 minutes lo bebonke.
Now, for 3 hours or 2 hours or 3 hours, you end up only having 16 or 20 people speaking.
Kusho ukuthi masino 3 hours umhlangano wethu zoba nabantu mhlawumbe abawu15 noma abayi16 abazokhuluma.
Then you go to another province or another venue.
Uye
They
kwesinye
speak 3
isifundazwe.
minutes, 5 minutes. You end up having 40 people that are speaking.
Kwenye indawo bakhuluma o3 minutes babe baningi abantu abawu40 abazophawula bebonke.
Then what is going to be done in the discussion and recordings is how many people spoke in that area.
Sizothike uma sesicubungula ukuthi bangaki abakhulumile sibone ukuthi bangaki abaphawulile.
So the limiting of time is also to increase your participation in numbers.
Noma sinikalela isikhathi futhi senzele ukuthi izinombolo zabantu abazophawula babe zibe ziningi.
Then it will mean there was high number of participation.
Kusho ukuthi baningi abantu abalethe izethulo zabo zezwakala.
Now, we had opened up for written submissions.
Bese
There was a
sivulile
date of opening and there was a date of closing.
salivula ithuba ukuthi abafuna ukubhala incwadi mabayibhale labatho khona usuku lokuvula nosuku lokuvala.
We then, those who had made written submission, requested them whether they wanted to make oral submission on their written submissions.
Nalabo besibhalela incwadi sabanikeza ithuba ukuthi uma befuna ukukhuluma ngomlomo lokho abakubhalile nabangeza futhi bezokwenza njalo.
That process was also finalized.
Nalokho
exhausted.
zaqeda futhi.
Also, we had referred this bill to the National House of Traditional and Khoisan Leadership.
Lo mthetho sivivinywa saphinde sawuletha futhi kubaholi bendabuko olawulwa lo mthetho aqeda kusho.
if I'm not mistaken, from August up to the end of October last
Sukela
year.
ngo-August kuze kuyovala u-October ngonyaka odlule.
They've made their submissions.
Bazilethile nabo izethulo zabo njengabaholi bomdabu noma
We
bendabuko.
will take them also into consideration when we deliberate.
Kanjalo imbono yabo sizoyinakekela futhi uma sesicubungula sesidingida.
Now, those who wanted to speak to the bill,
Laba bebefuna ukuphawula kulo mthetho sivivinyo
and unfortunately they had to be cut off because of time,
bagcina bevaleleke ngaphandle ngenxa yesikhathi.
please feel free to write
Siyanicela ukuthi niyakhululekile ukuthi nisibhalele
to aboss
boss
at parliament.gov.za.
at parliament.gov.za.
It's aboss at parliament.gov.za. Or you
Noma-
can also write to akotse, that is KOTZE, akotse at parliament.gov.za. Those who had made their presentations here either did not finish or they finished, it will be much more advantageous to submit them again to the lady there, to that table, because what is written cannot be disputed than with what you said, because it will be subject to interpretation and the manner in which it is recorded.
Labo abalitholile ithuba lokuphawula baqeda nalabo abalitholile ithuba lokuphawula bangaqeda siyancoma ukuthi bhalani lapha kulama emails ade siwashilo ngani ngoba into eshicilelwe phansi yabhalwa huwe ayincikile kotolika ukuthi bazoyitolika kanjani kanjalo ke nabayishicilelayo bazosho lokho kusho utolika.
Lastly,
Okugcina
which is the discussion I had with the gentleman from Newcastle, Danhausen.
okuyilokho engikhulume nale
Is
nsizwa
that-
evele Danhausen.
Somebody said what is happening. We don't own the operations are for the department, not the portfolio committee.
Asazi ukuthi ukusebenza kwale indaba yezimayini nezimboni okomnyanga akusikona okwethu thina njengekommittee.
But I advise when you have got an issue and you are not getting joy from the department,
Ngiyakululeka ke kodwa ukuthi uma ukuthi unendaba ekushisayo futhi umnyango ngathi awukusizi
whether it's about, like they were talking, they were saying there, it's about non-compliance with the SLP, it's about a number of issues, not only mining, even on energy.
noma kumayelana nemithetho engalandelwa mhlambe kwezongumbiwa phansi noma kwezamandla
Write to the same email addresses.
bhalelani wona lama email address engiceda kuninikeza wona.
And fortunately, I stay here in KZN.
Ngenhlanhla ngihlala khona la kwaZulu Natal mina.
So some of those things, if they require the quick attention of the chairperson, I don't need a flight to attend.
Uma lezo zinto zidinga ukuthi usihlalo afike ngqo ngeke ngidinga ibhanoyi ukuze ngifike.
I only need a permission from the house chairperson.
Ngidinga nje imvume kusihlalo.
So just now, as we have said, we have arrived at the conclusion of this sitting.
Sesemaphethelweni alomhlangano namhlanje.
Thank you very much. At times, cool off. And
Siyabonga
I'm
kakhulu.
sure by the time you get out. Babu Kwala, I don't know, I heard you talking about police and so forth. No. This is a public meeting. I don't know, maybe it's after or things that happens or not. This is a public meeting. The only person who may not be allowed in this meeting is somebody who comes to disrupt the meeting. But the police, I will check if with you when we are done here. But the police have got no right to block anyone except if we said so.
Amaphoyisa awanamvumo ukuvimba umuntu ngaphandle komuntu ophazamisayo la uma nawo futhi ecelwa yithi.
So if that happened, we were not aware of.
Uma kwenzekile lokho ayi asazanga asinalo ulwazi.
Thank you very much. The meeting stands adjourned.
Siyabonga kakhulu umhlangano uyaguqa.
Sorry. I'm told you can sit down. I don't like to make that announcement, but I'm told you can sit down, something is coming.
Kuthiwa ngingahlala phansi ngathi khona okuzayo noma ngathanda ukusho kodwa bathi angisho. I think you can book me for a spa now. You can book us for a spa.